Welcome back. This month, Gabon serves as the sitting president of the UN Security Council. To hear more on that, we continue our exclusive one-on-one conversation with the Gabonese president, Ali Bongo Ondimba. Let's talk about your role at the UN Security Council. How significant is chairing the Security Council at this point in time?
Now, this presidency was, of course, planned. And I thought that by the time Gabon would preside over the Security Council, some problems would have, found a solution. So that's why going to this month of June, well, presidency of Gabon, a few months ago, chose to address a big problem, AIDS, HIV/AIDS, because I thought, it was important for us to try during our presidency to put on the table of the Security Council a matter that would unify, would have, a strong support and not be too so controversial. So that's exactly what happened. There was only one resolution, passed in the Security Council regarding AIDS, and that was 10 years ago. So that's the second one. And I thought that it was important as an African state that we push a resolution, because it's on Africa, in Africa, that the disease is even more deadly. But that doesn't mean that we are not dealing with other issues that are important at this time. We're still participating, connecting, with the other members, and also opening up to others in Africa and elsewhere in the world to really have common ground and to find, solutions and agreement to try to find, to help and solve, a problem.
What does Gabon have to accomplish during its Security Council presidency in order for you to consider the presidency a success?
What we just did, last week, just that alone was a great success for us. To be co-author of a resolution, on AIDS, I think was important for us. And we're having the support of all the members and having a unanimous decision of the council, that was a great, success for us. And one that even the other members of the council, really congratulate us for that. Because it's always important to bring more awareness. AIDS has been a problem for now more than 3 decades. And it is also a problem for peace and security in Africa. But we had wanted to make a special contribution, and our special contribution was to, exactly put this problem on the table of the Security Council and win in a broad agreement and a success, for this resolution to pass. I think that was, for me, an important achievement.
Mr. President, earlier this year, I think specifically it was in March, there was this UN Security Council resolution 1973, which had something to do with no-fly zone in Libya. Others, in fact, have interpreted that to mean no drive zone, no walk zone. When you look back, are you sure that you did the right thing when you voted for that particular resolution, given what you have seen happening on the ground in Libya?
I think we did the right thing. When we started debating resolution, I personally thought that the mere fact that this was on the table of the Security Council and we were going to debate and then later on vote, I thought that the authorities in Libya would understand that, wait a minute, this means business. People started demonstrating in Libya peacefully. The response from the government was out of proportion. And because of that, then people sought to, protect themselves because of the response, of the government. That was, massive and then harsh. Then the people had no choice. They said, well, I want to demonstrate peacefully, but I'm being killed for doing that. I need to protect myself. So escalate, the whole thing escalated. So then when we started debating, we thought then that Tripoli will understand that, well, usually when it's on the Security Council table, there's a good chance, might come up with a resolution, and we have to be careful. So therefore, I thought that the Libyan government would then stop hostilities and start a dialogue. Instead, what happened? Instead, the Libyan government decided to say, well, let's speed up the whole thing. By the time they finish, operation on the ground will be over. We will have crushed down, the demonstrators. So it's actually the opposite, that what we were anticipating that happened. The government took that time, while we were debating, to really speed up and have more violence, more aggression on the people. So you can imagine the impact on the Security Council. They say, hell, we're trying to find a solution, but this man is not taking what we're doing seriously. He thinks we're joking. So you see how it came about, for that resolution to be passed on. And even when it was finally adopted, we thought that, well, they're going to see that this resolution has been adopted and that this is serious business, and then they're going to stop. But they didn't, because that government was not going to stop anyway, no matter what people said. No matter how many resolutions we were going to take, the government was not going to stop.
But what about some who say, really, it was not about protecting people, but rather it's more about regime change?
Again, when we started debating, it was really about, protecting people. But in the course of, protecting the people, if you realize that the one in front of you is not going to listen, is going to continue, what do? You have no other course. But for you to protect the people, to think of all the possibilities, and one of them being, well, remove that government. Because that government, obviously, is not going to do what you would expect a government, protecting his own people. They're going the other way, killing his own people. So what else is there? You lose your legitimacy by killing the people that you are supposed to protect.
But there are some people who are saying, Mr. President, that part of the reason, frankly, it happened to Libya is because of the black gold, oil. They argue that if in fact it was about human beings, by now we should have had a resolution on Syria, we should have had another one on Yemen. How do you react to that?
No, well, there is right now a debate in the Security Council for a resolution on Syria. There is one right now. We're debating.
There's a talk about that.
There's a talk. Yeah, we are already.
Talking about talks.
No. We're trying to get, a large support for a resolution on Syria. This is being done right now. So it's just not like talking. We are. So we're trying to get that resolution.
But the Russians have threatened the veto.
Yeah, well, one member is threatening to put down his veto, but that doesn't mean that we're not talking. We are at the moment doing exactly the same.
In fact, as far as Libya is concerned, I gather that the Chinese, who obviously have also veto power, and happened to be chairing that particular Security Council that came up with no-fly zone, that they wanted to go wherever the Africans went. There are 3 African countries on Security Council: Gabon, South Africa, and Nigeria. They said that if the Africans want it, yes, it will go through. In fact, they say that is why they never vetoed it, because the Africans wanted it. That's why they abstained. And yet, recently, it looks like there are cracks among the 3 African countries. We're talking about South Africa, which seems to be shifting rear, the goalposts.
I don't think that there are cracks, you know. On the opposite, you're saying more African countries, you know, now declaring exactly what we have been, you know, saying in the last weeks. You know, I'm sure that we are going to get, you know, to a consensus. You know, it's true, difference, you know, of opinion, you know, within the AU. That is true, but you have more countries now going, you know, in the same direction than those 3 that passed the resolution.
But how do you reconcile that view with what actually happened in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Where some people say, you seem to be isolated. You, Meles Zenawi, and a few others seem to be isolated on this particular issue.
You know how it is. Sometimes you can be right, but too soon. But now I'm seeing a shift in our direction, and not the opposite, not the other way around.
Really?
Yes.
Where is the evidence?
Well, the last we heard was Mauritania.
Okay.
Mauritania.
Mauritania.
Yeah. Good. So I'm telling you that you will see a change.